Welcome to Keep Hustling, where we are going past the why to get to the how. I'm your host, the always hustling Aaron Gordon, aka NY Risk Advisor, aka Mr. Keep Hustling. In this podcast, we will be diving deep into the professional and personal successes of our guests to find out how they hustled through the most difficult times in their life and their development to achieve the success they've gotten to today. So buckle up for what hopes to be an amazing ride. Let's get to it. Welcome to Keep Hustling with my guest, the one and only Matt Sapaula. Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Honored to be here, Aaron.
Dude, this is a dream come true. You're a mentor of mine from afar, and having you here, I know will be a value to our guests. And I can't tell you what it means to have you on the show.
I saw on my DMs that you've been interacting with me for quite some time. So I got to respect the follow-up, got to respect the hustle. You kept interacting with my stories. And a lot of people don't realize how important that is if you're looking to build a relationship. So I see you're sincere about what you're doing, and that's why I'm on your show.
I appreciate it. It's about the hustle. I want to jump right in. First of all, anybody who doesn't know your story, I don't know what rock you've been living under, because if anything else, if you follow Keep Hustling, the lifestyle, the mindset that we're trying to build here, Matt should be the chairman. He doesn't know yet, but one day he's going to be the Keep Hustling chairman. On Mount Rushmore of hustle, there's Matt. And I mean that seriously because, very important. Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for your
Better
support.
man than me. It means the world to me. I should have opened with that. I couldn't have done it, and we appreciate you.
Thank you for your
that
support,
hustle
brother.
comes from somewhere. There's somewhere before broke, and I know we're gonna get into it. Being at the bottom, not wanting to be in a position where you had to worry about paying the mortgage and all that. But before that, I know your parents. I see the content as you mentioned, but really, where does it come from? What built that hustle, that foundation that everything stands on today?
Yeah, growing up, I barely saw my parents. I'd see them, maybe on the way out the door. And then when my sister and I would come home from school, I have a younger sister, we'd come home from school, we still wouldn't see our parents. And so the constant work and constant, they had jobs. My father worked for Sears and my mother was a nurse. I'm Filipino, right? So obviously my mom was a nurse. And then my mother decided to go to get her master's degree. So the joke in high school was, when my sister was also in junior high and I'm in high school, that we're all going to be graduating the same year. I graduated high school in 91. My sister graduated grade school in 87, and my mother got her master's degree in 91. So 91 is a very special year to us. I think that's where I get it. And then it was further honed and disciplined by the United States Marine Corps, because you can't be in the Marine Corps, man, and succeed and grow. And all my promotions in the military are all what they call meritorious promotions, where I volunteered for certain duties. I volunteered to be inspected and tested. And so because I not only beat the other Marines who were asking for the same promotion, but I had to prepare for it. And so I interviewed Coach Krzyzewski a while ago on our stage in August. And he said, when you prepare, you are now worthy of winning. Most people want to win without the preparation. So I think if we hustle to the preparation, the layup is winning.
100%.
A lot of people don't want to do that part.
I know you love sports references. I love sport references. Everybody loves to talk about Steph Curry, the greatest three-point shooter and the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah.
I recently saw an interview, and I'm obsessed. You've probably seen them, like the videos of his warm-up or the videos of his off days. And forget about LeBron and Kobe and like that. The number of shots that Steph Curry takes in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. Yeah. Of course, he's going to hit the half-court three when he has to win the game.
Come out the tunnel, over the backboard. That's a crazy one.
So there's a question, I think, that follows that maybe you've been asked before. I haven't seen it, and as you know, I consume a lot of your content. So if you had no choice but to succeed, and if the hustle was inherent, and if you saw how hard your parents worked, and then you had the discipline in the Marine Corps, what was it like when you hit that bottom?
Yeah, that's the only thing I could really depend on, because I don't have much assets to depend on. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have wealthy parents. No rich friends, no network, and so, what's the saying is control what you can control. I can control two things: my attitude and my habits. And those habits are the working habits. So in the worst position, you're going to find yourself in the best position, because the worst position exposes us all. And a lot of people don't want to see that reflection. When you're at the bottom, the coolest part was Les Brown said this: when you're at the bottom, right? At least there's one direction you're looking up. And so, and if you find yourself in that scenario, congratulations. Everybody that's successful and worth their weight their worth in gold, weight their salt, they went through some very, very, very tough times. Matter of fact, brother, I was just watching this the other day, the significance of the Passover. I've got a lot of Jewish friends in Chicago. They invited me to their Seder. and they would
Come to New
recite
York.
these.
We'll show you real fun. Come to New
Is that
York.
okay? I'll go.
That's it.
Right. Are you Jewish by
Yeah,
background?
I'm Orthodox. Yeah, I'm Orthodox Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Born and
So
raised.
all the locusts, the blood, the Nile and blood, all those things. You know, the whole Exodus story. You know, they're stripped from nothing. And the crazy thing about that was when they finally are able to cross and see all these miracles, across the Red Sea, they see all these miracles happen. Let my people go, and they go, and they take off. And then the people say, "Man, at least we could, when we could just go back to Egypt." Now that we at least there we had a house. At least there we had some food. Like what? What? And next thing you know, they're complaining. God said, "What? You can't even be thankful. You can't even be grateful in the tough times. You're not grateful. Fine. 40 years in the wilderness."
And that's because the mindset, though, was that mindset at the bottom. And if it's almost like, there are these studies with I think it's flies, but I could be wrong, that they put them in a jar and they fly around for a little bit, and then when they take the lid off, they don't fly out because they don't think. Of running. I'm gonna steal a quote from you.
Tell me.
This endeavor requires discipline, consistency, patience, and a readiness to confront tough choices. That wasn't me. That was you. What do you got? That's right. But isn't that what it is? Isn't that what the hustle is about? People always knock me and they say, and I'm sure you get this all the time, hustle, you're going to hustle till you're dead. You don't have time. For me, I find I get the greatest energy. And why I'm so passionate about keep hustling is when you're hustling towards that goal, when you define your hustle, you have something to strive for your family, for your friends, for yourself, to get up in the morning. And there's nothing greater than that.
The only caution I would say with that mindset 100% all the time is not to pick up and be aware of what you're hustling at, because I've seen a lot of people hustle in our office. I mean, Aaron, you may know this, but for those that don't, I run a national sales organization of life insurance and annuity agents across the country. And a lot of them work hard and hustle hard at the wrong things. And then they, pick their head up 90 days later. Say, I've been hustling hard, I've been doing this, and I've got no results. I've been hustling hard, but they've been working hard at the wrong things. So we boiled down things in our office to 4 major activities that move the needle every day. So everything else is just fluff, or everything else is you need to hire somebody for. And these 4 things, as a sales leader, as a person in sales, as an entrepreneur, these are 4 things that you need to grow. These are your KPIs, your key performance indicators that you ought to hustle 100% on. Everything else is just distractions.
But why do people get distracted?
Because sometimes the other things that, for example, there's things that move the needle that are what I call them green activities, because you make green, right? You make revenue, you make money. And there's activities that are in preparation of making the green. So for example, in our business, it's easy for our guys to sit in the office and run a bunch of illustrations, a bunch of quotes. But now you got to sell it, bro.
Right.
Go sell it now. Go sell it.
But you can't sell it without the quote. But so you need both.
True. Right. Yeah, you need both. But they consume their time with the perfect illustration, the perfect quote, but they spend 5% trying to sell it or market it. So, and this, insurance is pretty easy. It's pretty easy business. It's a pretty fairly, back in the day, brother, it's life insurance or agencies in general had to do the math to sell insurance. They had to,
I love it.
Maybe like your father did, right? They had to run the quotes. They just didn't have software to do the quotes.
People think we're geniuses. How'd you figure that out? Might be someone else. I tell people we have to make sure that they make the best educated decision, but the computers do the rest. And by the way, it's really hard to explain when the computer seems to make no sense. But yes, I agree with you. And people get stuck in that when really it's about developing those relationships and that trust. And that's really the greatest hustle.
That's it. By the way, does the name Nick Murray ring a bell to you up there in New York? Nick Murray.
Not.
Yeah,
I'll look him up.
I read this book early in my career. It's called The Game of Numbers. Right, Game of Numbers. And by the way, I don't think you can get it on Amazon. I think you can only get it on eBay because there was a limited number of these books, and he doesn't publish it. I ought to consider calling him so I can buy the rights to the book. Maybe I ought to do. Thanks for inspiring me to that thought, by the way.
There you go.
But he wrote a book called The Game of Numbers. Bottom line, he resold me on the vision, the dream of being in the financial services industry. And I wish I read that book a long time ago. It's a very thin book, maybe about 100 pages, but it's a very small, compact, 5x7 type of book. But he also said there, any prospecting method, I don't care if you're cold calling, I don't care if you're doing dinner seminars, I don't care if you're doing postcards, I don't care if you're doing social media. Every prospecting method you hustle in will work. The only reason why they don't work is you don't hustle. You don't put the effort in. Because all those things, I mean, how hard is it to sell insurance? The reason why people don't want to sell insurance is because they face rejection all the time. And they're so sensitive.
That's life. That's life, right?
The setbacks.
I'm not going to knock on my kids, but whatever. Yeah, that's true. So I asked you about the difficult moment. I have to ask you about the opposite. Obviously, there's a lot of faith, which I know, which I hope we'll get into a little bit. But what was it like the moment when you realized, hey, this is working? Like
Yeah. It's so funny that you asked that question because my mentor and coach is a Patrick Bet-David.
He's the best.
We were in his office a couple of weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale, and he asked me a question in front of my peers, in front of our company. And I said, Patrick, it was my 4th month working together with you. What happened? Patrick, it's not going to be me speaking on stage. It's not going to be you recognizing me on an update video in front of the company. It was on closeout night because in our culture, in our team, the last day of the month, man, we putting everything in, right? We put everything we need. Basically, our closeout day is one big follow-up day from what we did all month, close out and close the books for that month. Because that's the way, because we want to be a publicly traded company one day. So we got to act as if we're a publicly traded company. Now, by the way, there was 2015 I'm talking about. And I remember that closeout night, we had brought in more sales, recruited more potential agents into our firm in those 30 days than in my previous 4 years. And I said, bro, I could really do this thing. That was a moment of greatness, brother. That was a moment of greatness. Like, you know what? Not only was I able to focus my intention, focus my hustle, focus my one niche, focus my creativity into one day, bro, I can really do something with this thing, man. And I had made more than at that time, brother. I had made more than $250,000 in income. And
it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that, because many people would say the time you're on stage, when you're on the jet the first time, when you bought the watch. But I think the most important thing, as you talk about the goal of the hustle, the goal of where a person wants to go.
Yeah.
When you see that the treadmill's moving in the right direction, when you feel like, like in the airport, when you get on those pathways that are the moonwalk, right? You realize that every step you're taking, you're getting 4 steps, right? And that's that moment, because it's not just, as you said, it's not just the moment you get the green.
I love that.
But it's right. And I think that especially in sales, when you get that, there's nothing like that feeling like, oh, I just parlayed this. Oh, the referral just came. Oh, the next person is going to help me get there. And then everyone around you rises up. And I think that that's huge for long-term success.
It's what we did in the dark, bro. It's what we do in the dark when nobody's looking, that you're about to be great. Because then doing it on stage, that's the easy part. When you're on stage in sales, when you're on stage at our company conventions, that's because there's many moments the lights aren't on, that you're able to work, not during the lightning, you were working during the thunder. I was just sharing this in our podcast this afternoon. People aren't intimidated by lightning. Yeah, it's massive. You see it. Wow. You know what keeps kids up and adults scared? It's the thunder. And if you have a choice between lightning or thunder, I'd rather be the thunder.
I'm stealing that. I'm definitely stealing that one. I got to pivot to, I stay away from politics and controversy on this podcast, and this shouldn't be a controversial topic or political one, but there's one thing I have to ask you, because I think that it's probably our most aligned thought. The greatest decision I ever made, and my father, he should rest in peace, told my siblings and I this as well, was the life partner that I chose in my wife and the marriage that I have. And you've spoken about this a lot, but rarely have I heard a well-articulated version, or as well of an articulated version as yours, as to what it really means. The power of marriage, the power of support. By the way, for me, the power of the wife that was willing to put up with the family business when I didn't think it was going to work, when I wasn't sure, when things weren't so great, and growing that together. But I have to imagine that there's something there. And by the way, your wife's a rock star too. I love her content. She rocks. I got to get her on the podcast one day. She rocks. And her kids are awesome too. They're fun. Good time with them.
Yeah, I think for me, my wife has been the great multiplier. Everything that I've given my wife, she's multiplied. I gave her my house. She made it a home. I gave her my seed. She made me a baby. I was married and divorced before, but I gave her my children. She made us a family. I gave her my business. She helped me create an empire. Everything I've given my wife, she's multiplied. Now, I had a wife before, but she was a great divider. So it's not any other wife, right? And so I reference how to choose the right wife by the book you and I both follow. I follow King Solomon, who wrote the book of Proverbs. In Proverbs 31, he outlines the checklist for a woman of noble and virtuous character. And no man, you know this, Aaron, no man wants a woman run through. No man wants a woman of the streets. Now, she may be a freak in the sheets, but she's a lady in the streets. It's ludicrous, okay?
Yeah, of course, I know.
A wonderful poet.
All right, exactly. But no,
But
and by the way, I think that there's something to that. And, we joke about it, we laugh about it, but it's funny because ultimately, in the end of the day, when you look at the most successful people in the world,
yeah,
or at least the people that we looked up to and their success, the relationship is grounded. And obviously it has to start with, and there has to be attraction and passion, all those kind of things. And I'm not in any way saying
of course.
that's not a thing.
That's important, by the way.
But having that real, when somebody's in the hospital or when times are tough or when life is difficult, none of that matters. But what you said, the multiplication, those multiples matter.
Yeah. Yeah. She's multiplied my focus. She protects me, meaning she protects me from my blind spots. She's multiplied my faith. She reminds me of what God calls me to be. She reminds me of she's multiplied my future. She's helped me expand my vision and help my dreams have a sounding board. And by the way, we had to work on that because early on, every time I come with an idea, she'd shoot it down. I said, babe, I can't have you in my life shooting my ideas down. You need to, right? And by the way, some of this is you have to guide and lead your wife too as well. You just can't expect her to be that way and you're disappointed, your expectations are shot down because she's not doing it, But, multiplication of you talk about hustle, she multiplied my fortitude. She helps me stand in the trenches when sometimes I don't feel like doing it. But bro, I promised my wife, I said, sweetheart, you're marrying not a man of financial wealth right now, but I know I'm about to take our family. But if you give me a shot, we're not going to have a fancy wedding. We don't even have money because 4 days later, we were at a business convention at a honeymoon. But I promise you, this temporary thing.
By the way, my father took my mother to Lloyd's to London on their honeymoon. They were both in the industry. Took her to London, to the insurance capital of the world. But whatever, I see it. I see it in you.
Yeah. And I told her that and said, babe, I'm going to give you a life that 20 average mediocre men couldn't give you. But you just got to buy into it. So she bought into my vision, bro. 6 months later, we're in Dubai. Company paid trip. So, and every year thereafter, we've been to Costa Rica. We've been to
By the way,
France.
I take it back. Don't follow Matt. Don't follow his social. You're going to feel like, it makes you make yourself feel inadequate. But what I can say is, for me, it says this is what the hustle does, right?
That's right.
As you said, nobody sees the thunder, nobody sees the late nights, nobody else sees all that. Social media loves to talk about the other stuff.
Uh-huh.
What do you say to the people that say it's easy for Matt to say that now because he made it?
I mean, it's always easy to see the finished product, right? But you go down and unpack it. You see the factory. You see the raw material. You see the labor and effort it took to make that raw material, process it in the factory, and you do all these things just to see that. And by the way, if people that want to see that and that's all you want to see, you're lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. And that's why people, when they lie to themselves to think that's life is supposed to be, that's why they get caught up in get-rich-quick schemes. They get caught up in the life of a scratching lottery tickets, And instead of saying, you know what? Warren Buffett was asked that question. How come more people don't listen to Warren Buffett? You know what Warren Buffett said? Because I teach people how to get rich slow.
Yeah, right. And he's pretty good. You know what? Not bad. Not a bad legacy.
Yeah, for sure. Berkshire all the way, baby.
What's the biggest KPI? You said there are 4. I'm not going to ask you for all the sales secrets. Everyone should buy the books. By the way, everyone should buy the 3 books. I love them. Yeah. But we're getting to the end. If I'm a hustler, I'm young, I'm listening to Matt, I'm seeing it. What's the first thing I got to do?
Biggest KPI is contacts. Your network is your net worth. And a lot of people inside your network will be trash that will eventually be processed and recycled by the big man upstairs, and they'll be treasures. So never burn a bridge, always build it, always look to give, bring value to it, try to be interested in them versus you trying to be interesting. And everybody in your network, I got people now 25 years later saying, hey, Matt, you know what? All the stuff you said 25 years ago makes sense now. I want to do business with you. Because their life has no results or anything to show for in 25 years. And because of social media, we were tagged in some of the same pictures. And this whole thing called Facebook memory shows up. And there's a picture of me and them from 25 years ago in 2008, 2009, 2000, right? Or mid 2000s shows up now. They're like, bro, I was with this guy in 2005. Look at his life. And it's nothing to brag about. I said, bro, you did your way. I did my way. I tried God's way. You tried your way. You got what your results are. You're not happy. Thank God life is forgiving in many different areas. Because I know with entrepreneurship, you can recapture the years that you lost in 3, 4, 5 years if you work hard at the right things. So the biggest KPI for me is contacts. You got to be a mayor of your city. You got to be a mayor. People got to know you in your industry. People got to know you in your community. People got to know you based on your reputation. What does it say in Proverbs? A woman's reputation is more valuable than rubies and gold.
Great name. A good name stands above all.
Amen. Yes, right. And I pray that whatever you do, you operate. I'm talking from early in my career, I was a little haphazard in that area where I may have sullied my reputation. Listen, years and years and years of building reputation, all this goodwill is gone with one So, and that my is taking me many, because I got on the wrong, I got on the wrong radio show in 08, 09, and everybody in that radio show got sued, including me.
Oh,
Because these guys in a radio show were stealing money's people investing in real estate, and instead of putting it in real estate, but put it in their own pockets. And they thought I was in on it. And they subpoenaed me. We went to court. I said, listen, you can go to all my bank accounts. I got zero deposits.
If you find it, let me know. Let me know.
Do. Right. And please, and here's a funny part. In that lawsuit, I'm on there. It even got to me at the position of doubting like what I was doing. But a guy I referred there from the radio said, listen, you want to do it? I'm not the real estate guy. Go refer to these guys. And I was educating him here on the basic ways to lay out your financial foundation. And instead of following my guidance, instead of putting money inside liquid annuities and liquid cash, he decided to put 100% of his money inside this real estate deal because greed, right? And so instead of him getting money from him, the next pocket he can sue is mine, right? Bro, I got nothing to do. I didn't force you to do business with him. And so Exhibit A, this pit bull of an attorney that he had was grilling me on the stand. I felt like Law and Order, bro. And she's grilling me on the stand. So, Exhibit A, tell me about your 4 homes of money presentation. Really? You want me to do this in front of the court right now? Instead of explaining my 4 homes of presentation, it became like a workshop in court. And when we got done with the workshop, we want liquidity, safety, rate of return, tax advantages. You can be money in banks and real estate, stock market, and, maximum funded life insurance contracts. Here's my arrows. I told him to put money inside liquid versus inside real estate. He didn't follow me, blah, blah, blah. The judge goes, okay, we're done. You can step off the stage. But Mr. Sapaula, before you step off stage, in my chambers, you got to explain to me this 4 homes of money thing.
Can I get your card? I love that. That's the hustle, by the way. Understand.
That's right. I kept hustling even in court.
I love that. Matt, I got to tell you, time flies when you're having fun. This
for sure.
This has been a dream come true. Talking to you. I hope we stay in touch. I'm still going to be in your DMs. I know you're busy. You're the best. We end every episode, as I mentioned earlier, with asking our guests to leave us with their favorite motivational or inspirational quote and what it means to their hustle. And with that, I will say, right before Thanksgiving, I'm so grateful to you. You have no idea the impact that you've had on my life, on my family, on my business, from afar, from near. And I wish you'd come to New York one day. Maybe with Pat, we'll do the Yankees. Maybe the Yankees are going to win one day. Maybe the Jets will win one day. I don't know. But
you cigar guy? You smoke cigars?
Yes.
I'll make sure we go. We're going to go to the Carnegie. It's right by the Carnegie Museum.
Oh yeah, 100%. Me and you.
Yeah,
me and you. I would appreciate that. I would love that. But the floor is yours. Your favorite motivational, inspirational quote, and we'll close up shop.
If there's one I would choose, it sounds like this: excuses sounds good until your children inherit them.
Yes, that's it. This has been another episode of Keep Hustling with the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Sapaula. Remember, do well by doing good. And of course, and always, keep hustling. All right, hustlers, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you for listening. The listeners are the most important part of this show. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more listeners. Plus, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. We have some amazing guests and topics lined up for you, and we don't want you to miss out. And finally, if you have any suggestions, comments, or even just want to say hello, please feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms. We are Keep Hustling Pod on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you to continue the conversation. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting our podcast. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and keep hustling.